By the way, you did the Arizona-Seattle game last week. I watched a lot of that. You got Josh Rosen, the rookie. By the way, because everybody's talking about Baker, and then there's Lamar and Darnold and Josh. Nobody's talking about Josh Rosen, and,
right.
and the Arizona Cardinal games don't get, like, national TV exposure. They don't yet.
Yeah, they get me. So, yeah. Hi, Joy, by the way. How are you?
Hello, Stink.
So he looked pretty good.
He was actually very good. Get beyond the stats. You got to get beyond the stats, Colin. He had at least 4 or 5 balls dropped in that game. He had 2 deep shots, one by Christian Kirk, one by J.J. Nelson. The J.J. Nelson one should have been a touchdown or would have been a touchdown had he just caught it.
Saw that.
Kirk might have been, but it was still a deep shot that he dropped. Perfectly placed footballs. It's so interesting because you get this narrative of a guy, right? His coach calls, oh, he's a millennial. He's always asking why. I'd be like, yeah, that's probably a pretty good question to ask. Why? Like, I'd like to know the offense, the totality of the offense, what we're trying to accomplish, why we're doing it against the defense. Why does this, why should this work? Like, those are good things to ask. Those are great questions to ask.
How was he when you did your pregame interview? Because you guys get in Friday or Saturday, and you sit down and you interview him. Right. Was he arrogant? Was he?
He was completely engaging. One of the funnest interviews I had. He was sharp. He was funny. He was self-deprecating. I thought it was fascinating about his background in tennis, and about being, just being a competitor and learning how to manipulate and navigate an individual sport.
Yeah.
He was the top-rated tennis player in California at 12.
Yeah.
And he was making a decision. Do I continue on with this, or do I, go back to my love of football and the game that I really want to play? But I thought it was just very intellectually stimulating to listen to him talk about the effect that playing an individual sport had on him. Like, your ability, like, a point in tennis is a point. Like, it can be the most epic point in the world.
It's a point.
It's a point. You can, throw one into the net. It's a point. So your ability to not dwell on the good things and to let go of the bad things, right?
Is key.
It's key.
Nope.
The other thing is you spend a lot of time talking to yourself. So you develop an interdialogue. And he says, like, I've got the wristband with the plays on it. I always write a note to myself like, hey, don't screw up, moron, or whatever it is, right? I mean, he was just engaging. He was fun. Like, everything that I heard about him coming out in the draft, having not met him, completely false. Like, I was like, I could play for this guy.
Yeah.
I could play in front of that guy.
I thought he looked really good. I think I'll say this again. In terms of just ball out of hand down the field, it is a beautiful thing. He throws art. He throws paintings. They are beautiful.
And let me tell you this. Ain't afraid to cut it loose. And there's going to be times when he's just like, hey, I know the play calls for me to go over here. Nah, I'm going to throw it right there.
Yeah.
And he made a couple of those throws that were
beautiful.
Just absolutely stunning. Yeah, so you're 100% right. I mean, I really liked his demeanor. I liked the way he attacks the game.
Mark Schlereth joining us. I didn't want to cheat you out any knee surgeries. You had 26?
I had 29 total surgeries, 20 knee surgeries.
Oh, my God. Did they hurt? I've never had one.
What, knee surgeries?
Like when you're first of all, they knock you out, right? You're out.
Right, yeah.
So, then you wake up, and are you in pain? Are you writhing in pain? Or they give you like Valium and you're good?
No, I mean, it's all relative. The one that hurt the worst, and I had one, I had herniated 2 discs in my back, and so I had a back surgery. It was about a 4-hour back surgery, and they hang you upside down. They put you on a table that has a hole in it. They hang you upside down. So you're hanging there with these straps, right, for 4 hours. So I wake up. Now, that one was miserable. I'd have another 20 knee surgeries to give the one back surgery back. So I'm hanging upside down. So the doctor comes in. I'm in recovery, right? And my hands have completely gone numb. Like, I cannot feel my left hand at all, or my right hand, but my left was really bad. So I'm like, hey, doc, what's going on with the hand? Oh, we hang you upside down. Those straps get in your armpits, and they pinch the nerve in there. And it causes your hands to go numb. And so this is like 8 hours, 10 hours after I'm awake, right? I'm completely numb. And I'm like, well, when does that come back? He goes, sometimes it never does. I'm like, nobody told me this. Like, how am I going to play without any feeling in my hands?
How is that the response?
Isn't that incredible?
How is that the response? I feel like you cover that pre-op.
Apparently not.
By the way, you may not be able to feel your hands ever again.
Yeah,
Why do they have to hang you upside down?
Yeah,
because it opens up the spine so they can work on your
Well, doesn't all the blood rush to your head?
that's the point. That's why your hands don't
pretty
work
much. My head was ginormous. It looked like this red button right here.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Hey, so you would think you would love a tough running game, but here's my knock on being led by a running back.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Adrian Peterson didn't win a playoff game until Brett Favre arrived, because most NFL games, I mean, when you get to the playoffs, it's good teams. They're close.
Right.
And if I trail by a touchdown and there's 2:15 left and I've got a timeout, running backs are useless. I don't even want him on the field. I want another slot receiver. So when everybody tells me Dallas, they're led by Zeke, I'm like, well, that's great. But the last running back-led team to get to a Super Bowl was Sean Alexander. By the way, Hasselbeck was pretty good. People will say Terrell Davis, but John Elway was pretty good.
Right.
People do say that one of your Super Bowl teams was one of the running back led them. So I want truth. Did Terrell Davis lead you?
Oh, yeah. Was our offense? Yeah, our offense. It
wasn't Elway.
No, it was our offense. Well, I mean, Elway, here's the deal. Elway walks in the huddle, regardless of the situation. You can be down by 14. The Duke walks in the huddle, and you're just like, we got him right where we want him. I mean, So from that standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, that way, that quality, that believability, you got to have a guy. You got to have a dude. You got to have a quarterback, right? You got to. That team was a run-first based team. That Super Bowl that you're talking about, Terrell Davis was the MVP and missed a quarter with a migraine. If you look at Elway's stats, his stats in that game were terrible. I mean, it was the worst. He was the worst rated quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl at that time. Now it's been usurped. I think Big Ben did it, and a couple other guys have done it. But yeah, that team was led by the running back. But you're right. You're right in this. I still think that it's valuable running back. I mean, you can't tell me that Todd Gurley doesn't have great value in Los Angeles.
He does have great value.
So there is that part. As far as Zeke is concerned, and Zeke is great. Their issue lies more in the destruction of that offensive line, because that's how they were built. Smith at the left tackle position has chronic back issues. Travis Frederick is out sick, with the Guillain-Barré syndrome. Zach Martin had the knee issue in the preseason. Collins at the right tackle is more of a guard. The kid they have playing left guard, Connor Williams, is a rookie who's struggling. So that team was really built on that. They don't have that anymore. They're not dominant up front anymore. They're probably not a top 5 group anymore.
Wow.
So I think that's more of an issue for them right now, because that's the way they were built, and they don't have that right now.
It's what did you make of Earl Thomas flipping the bird to Seattle? It's weird to me because he made $55 million. Washington has no state tax. He was lucky enough to play for a great defensive coach who understood his talent. He had a bunch of good players in front of him. I look at $55 million for 9 years, and I'm like, dude, safeties are being marginalized. They're not they're not as valuable anymore. I don't know. I don't feel like he got like there are players that I understand they're angry. I don't get his anger.
Yeah, I see. I would argue this. I think they're more valuable now than they've ever been.
Safeties?
Yeah, and safeties that can transition both. As a guy, that you got to be able to. Ideally, you got to be able to cover guys. You got to be able to cover slot guys. You got to be able to rotate down in the run game. Most everybody plays a version of a single high safety. So you're either man free or you're in 3. It's the 2 coverages that most everybody plays until you get in the red zone. You're not afraid of getting beat over the top. But so you got to be able to do 2 different things. But in regards to him, I understand the anger. I understand you're 29. You're the best safety in your game. You want to be the best ever. You want to get a long-term deal. You want to feel that commitment. And I understand the frustration, the anger over the business aspect of it. So I get his anger. I'm not mad at him at all. I think he's accomplished what he needed to accomplish. He came back and played as well as he was the best safety in the game for 4 weeks. That's what he was.
Yeah.
He broke his leg. It's not like he tore his ACL or a patella tendon.
No, he'll play again.
So he'll play again. He'll get the big contract.
Were you ever mad, really furious at a team? Were you ever treated a certain way? You were on several.
Sure, absolutely.
Who were you mad at?
Well, I still am mad at the Redskins.
Why?
They told me I couldn't play anymore. They didn't want me. I went back and played 6 more years, went to a Pro Bowl and won 2 Super Bowls. So, up yours, pound sand. I mean, that's how I look at it.
They told you that you couldn't play.
Told me I couldn't play anymore.
Who told you that?
North Turner. Can't play anymore. We're done with you. And that's fine. Here's the other thing that bothers me about those situations is, this happens to all of us as players, and you hold a grudge, and it's part of what makes you the competitive nature, part of what makes you go. So, you're told, hey, you're a warrior, you're great, you do this. I mean, the way you battle for us, it's awesome. I mean, I was told that for an entire year. I was always playing with a knee that needed to be operated on, an elbow that needed to be operated on, and then I got called up the very next season, week 1 on a Friday by the Skins, and they told me, hey, you're going to take this pay cut, and if you don't, we're going to cut you after the game that you're going to start on Sunday.
I don't like that.
Happens all the time. Happens to every one of us. Yeah, you didn't play as well last year. Hey, really? No. You kidding me? Right? I didn't play. Yeah, because I couldn't walk Monday through Saturday. You remember that when I couldn't walk? I never practiced.
If you would have done it again, so if you were to play with your knowledge of how the system works, because players, I do think, have an understanding now. They're less naive. The love of the game is important, but I think there's more transparency for all players.
Right.
Players have more of a voice. And, just what the internet and social media has done, players are more empowered. Everything if you were to play again today, would you be a different guy with a little more chip?
I didn't play for the organization. I played for the guys beside me. I played for the guys in the equipment room. I played for the guys on that football team and on that roster.
You never played for the owner.
For the business part of it, I didn't care. And I tell guys, I give guys advice all the time. I counsel guys all the time about what to do, what's best for your career long term. But I always preface it with, but understand I'm a hypocrite because I never would have done it and I wouldn't do it today. I always look from a leadership standpoint, Colin. Great leaders care more about the people they lead than they care about themselves. You want to win championships? You got to be willing to lay that on the line like that. That's the person that you have to be. And there's very few guys that win championships because very few guys are willing to lead like that. I was one of those guys that believed in that. I believe that every guy within that organization is more important than me, and I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I don't care if I have to have – I had surgery on a Sunday night and played that Monday night, less than 24 hours later.
I wouldn't recommend that.
It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
So, but that's who I am.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.